Hello everyone. Today we'll be bringing you a review of the Pilot G2 Limited Retractable Gel Ink Rollerball Pen, fine point 0.7 millimeters. Now this pen is a more upscale version of Pilot's popular G2 pen. To set it apart from the standard G2, this pen features sophisticated metallic color finishes, a metal barrel, and overall high-end look and feel. It's a good choice for a gift for a pen enthusiast, and particularly if they are a fan of the G2 already. As with all of Pilot's G2 products, a big selling point for this pen is being incredibly smooth, long-lasting, and smear-proof by way of Pilot's unique gel ink formula. On G2 pens we've looked at in the past, they were very smooth but far from smear-proof, as we have had major issues with smearing here and there. It is retractable, and the spring feels firm, so it's a very sturdy feel as you click. Has a metal clip, which is stylish and very sturdy. Clamps down with a lot of force. Still has enough flex to it that it doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything. Pen is refillable, and it uses Pilot's G2 refills, which also fit the G6 Dr. Grip Gel, Q7, B Green Precise Gel, G-Knock, and the B2P bottle to pen. You can access the refill by unscrewing the barrel of the pen right above the comfort grip. And actually, if you don't want to do that, you can actually access it by unscrewing the tip. I prefer doing it above the grip though, because this way you don't have to worry about losing the spring. The G2 refills have that kind of brown amber colored gel at the top of the refill where the ink ends. Some people find that unsightly. I don't have any problem with it, and for this pen, since there isn't a visible ink supply, it really isn't an issue anyway. It has a rubber comfort grip, which is contoured to fit your hand. At the bottom of the rubber portion, where your fingers actually hold the pen, it has 8 small indentations in the rubber to help grip the pen even better. This is very similar to the comfort grip on the standard G2, although this grip has a slightly softer feel and looks to be slightly wider. So, without further ado, let's get started and see how it writes. So as we've come to expect with G2 pens, the text comes out very crisp and dark. Overall, it just looks really good. It was pretty much skip-free. Blobbing was present but not horrible. And we'll take a look at some writing we did prior to kind of show you a better example of when the blobbing occurred and the instances of it. So there were pretty much several instances of very minor blobbing, but only a few instances of large blobs of ink. The 0.7 millimeter point seems to be a very good point size for this particular ink. So as you can see, whenever we write these long lines across here, we generally get there and there the issues of blobbing. That's kind of to be expected. And then when I took the pen off the paper for a little bit, because I wrote those lines, a little bit of ink had gathered on the point, so we got a large area of blobbing right there. So those were really the only large instances of blobbing. Then aside from that, we just got some very small instances here and there, right at the J, the X, a little bit right here, a little bit along this line here, usually at the top of a curve here and there. So those instances, while they were more frequent, they were very minor in severity. The pen is very comfortable to use for extended periods of time. The thick barrel and the soft comfort grip feel great. Felt no strain in my hand at all using it. Bleed through, there was a slight amount, mainly in those few spots where we saw heavy blobbing. In some of the areas of light blobbing, we also saw some bleed through, but it was very minimal and barely noticeable. So we'll take a look here. That heavy blobbing that we got, that's a little bit of bleed through there, and then right around those two curves of that long line we wrote, there's a little bit of bleed through right there. The only other spots you can see is very, very, very minor instances where we got some of those small areas of bleed through. Right along that kind of squiggly line we wrote. At the top of a curve here. And that is about it. So those two minor instances you might not even be able to see. They're very, very minor. The smear test performs just about average. For the first 2 to 3 seconds, we get a heavy amount of smearing, but by 5 seconds it trails off to next to nothing. The one exception to that is a blob of ink could take anywhere up to 10 seconds to dry, again depending on the severity of the blob is how bad the effects of it are actually going to be. So, to sum up, this is a very stylish, comfortable pen which writes well and delivers consistent performance. The only downside to this is the occasional blobbing, smearing, and bleed through, but it doesn't happen often enough to completely take away from the pen's positive features. If you're a fan of the G2 and you want something a bit more upscale, then this is definitely the pen for you. That's about it. Thanks for watching.